Hi, this is discussion 3 vlog for our class 4, chapter 4 over managing the budget cycle for finance and budgeting. This chapter, if nothing else, made me realize how difficult and how many different aspects and levels there are to managing a budget and the responsibility that goes with that. Honestly, after reading the chapter, it made me, like I said, just realize how much responsibility it is. I know in my earlier vlog, I mentioned, my budget is a small budget in comparison to some other departments. So, budget managers have an important responsibility and duty to the college, to the students, to the parents, to the faculty and the staff, etc., to the stakeholders in general, to be responsible. So, budget managers, they need to understand the past, present, and future fiscal issues of the budget for their budget unit. So, the discussion for this class, in relation to the readings, asks, what do you think went wrong with South Carolina State University's plan, and generally speaking? South Carolina State University's situation and their financial woes seems to be due to poor planning and execution, in my opinion. Relating back to the general issues that influence the development of the budget, I'm not sure of South Carolina State University's size, but I feel like they operated with a relatively closed budget process without much input from constituents and without a highly participative governing structure. So, because it took 12 years to build the building, which is an extremely long time, to build one of the 4 buildings, it took 12 years. And the absence of the continued funding to finish the Clyburn Center, it just seems like the budget for the center blundered. They didn't really they did poor planning of figuring out, okay, we have this allocation, this is our building fund, this is what we want it to go toward. They begin building, but they run out of money. So, it seems like they have to have some kind of allocation or revenue to continue the building. So it just seems like there was nothing there. There was no plan in place to continue the funding for that center. And were delays in well, I also can't help but think the budget cycle wasn't really utilized. It seems like there's some gaps in their cycle to where there should naturally be some checks and balances to which would have caught some of their financial woes in the end. It would have helped alleviate some of that. So it seems like some of their their processing and their budget cycle wasn't utilized. Were there delays in the report to the institution by the developmental and institutional government of the college? Governance? I don't know. We weren't given that information, but it just seems to me like, again, there were not certain checks and balances in place. Maybe the reports were delayed. You know, the budget cycle was not followed. One of the main guidelines that sticks out to me as being omitted during the budgeting process is the environmental scan that it mentioned in our Chapter 4 guidelines. Because of the issue with the being able to verify the land ownership, that is a biggie. That's something to me, and I'm not a budget operational type, and that is not my field, but to me, that seems like a foundational piece that should have been done in the very beginning. So I don't know how the ball was dropped on that, or what the ins and the outs were with that. But the environmental scan was definitely not complete on that area. So that is definitely a guideline, budget guideline that was not completed. In terms of, could Claiborne's clout have swayed committees to say yes without properly requiring and considering a well-balanced budgetary request? Possibly. I would say it's a possibility, but before it even got that far, I still feel like there should have been some checks and balances in place and enough constituents to represent this mission or this goal and this initiative of the Claiborne's the building. So I mean, that's a possibility he had the clout, but at the same time, I still feel like there should have been a safety net in place before it got so far and ended up in the financial woes that they're in. I feel like, you know, in terms of how the government and public views and supports the historically black college and university funding, how that was affected, and with this outcome, as Gasman discusses, the outcome is unfortunate. And I feel like with the poor planning and the poor execution, it could happen to anybody that has poor planning and execution at any college, not just a historically black and college university. The outcome was unfortunate, and it really tarnished the reputation of the HBCU. I don't know that means that all Gasman then he discussed is completely supported by the outcome, but I definitely think it helps. I definitely think it helps his argument. So, that is my vlog for class 4, discussion 3, class 4. Thanks.